everybody. Welcome to the True Crime News. And look who we have with us this time. Our old veteran, Rachel Telfor.
Veteran.
Yes, that's right. You were with it in the beginning, and she's back.
Thank you.
And Michelle Gower. Michelle
Always
Gower.
here.
Again. Yes, right. And we have a theme this time. It's all Florida man stories. And Rachel, of course, is coming to us straight out of Florida. She's a Florida. And she's at a redneck bar tonight, hanging out. Let's hope she makes it out in one piece.
Florida. I'm at the most Florida bar you could possibly be at right now.
Oh yeah.
Super Florida.
So how many rednecks do you think are in Florida?
Everyone here is a redneck at this bar.
Yeah.
I don't know. It depends on how you define that word. Some people might take it offensively. I don't take it offensively. That's just kind of how I was raised.
Because the media always focuses on Miami with all the bikinis and.
Yeah, it's not Florida for me. That's not Florida.
And then there was the '80s where it was all about Miami Vice, Don Johnson, but there's
Right.
not a lot of Don Johnsons walking around down there, are there?
Well, I think Floridians who are living here and who are quote unquote rednecks, they're not on social media. They're out doing crazy shit in the woods and, at bars like this, and they're not on, listening to podcasts and stuff like that. They're just kind of doing crazy shit. So I don't know. Maybe that's the reason.
Yeah, I don't think podcasts are big with rednecks. I don't think that's one form of entertainment they've glommed on to.
I had to explain to a man tonight what a podcast was.
Oh, yeah? He had never...
He's like, so what is a podcast? And I'm like, I don't know how to fucking explain a podcast to you right now.
How old did he look?
Oh, no, he's 50.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess he should know. I don't know. I don't think 50's too old for that.
I don't know.
All right. How many drinks have you had, by the way?
I'll tell you.
Well, and then Michelle's drinking the Monster drink, so
I chugged it.
Yeah. So she's gonna be water.
It was the reserve white pineapple.
White
It's all
pineapple.
right.
That sounds good.
I wanted a different one. I guess they didn't have it at the store. I didn't go. But I also have my hint water.
Hemp water?
What was
Hint.
the flavor?
For the Monster?
Yeah.
White pineapple.
I've never seen that flavor in my entire life.
Ooh, I can send you I can send care packages.
What color is it?
That sounds good, yeah.
It's yellow.
Good.
Yeah. Makes your pee neon. It's great. It's a good time.
Love it.
It's only 120 calories.
Rachel, what's that? What are you drinking?
It's actually water.
It's water? Is that like what, coconut water or something like that?
Regular ass Fort Myers water.
All right, so I'll go into my first story now. It's a real cheerful, life-affirming story. Florida man sentenced to life in prison after molesting girl 6 for 3 years in Flagler County. Do you know where Flagler County is?
And I already hate this fucking episode.
Oh, yeah, it only goes downhill from there. That's not even the worst story. All right. Okay, so a man from Palm Coast was sentenced to life in prison Wednesday after molesting a 6-year-old girl for 3 years in Flagler County, authorities said. So Montserrat Torone, 59, was sentenced to 2 life terms and 30 years in prison, all to run concurrently, according to the state's attorney's office. Detectives with the Flagler County Sheriff's Office's Major Case Unit began the investigation in September 2020 when the victim, 9 years old, reported to her parents that Torone had been molesting her since she was approximately 6 years old. At approximately... Yeah, so it'd been... I guess she just didn't remember the earliest incidences, because I don't think people tend to remember when they're 3 years old. I don't know. Well, how far does your memory go back?
I have no idea, honest to God.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so at approximately 5:53 p.m. on May 10th, the Flagler County Communications Center was alerted that Tyrone's license plate had been detected within the county. Communications specialists then coordinated with the Community Policing Division to safely arrest Tyrone in the parking lot of Wawa on State Road 100 in Palm Coast, according to investigators. Tyrone was convicted in July at his second jury trial of 2 counts of sexual battery on a person less than 12 years of age and lewd or lascivious molestation on a person less than 12 years of age. This defendant molested a young girl for 3 years, State Attorney R.J. Laritza stated in a press release. It is a horrific case of child sex abuse, but Tyrone will spend the rest of his life in prison and not hurt this victim or another child again. Tyrone's first trial ended with the jury deadlocked. Tyrone indicated at a hearing before his second trial that he had no interest in a plea deal. Prosecutors at one time had offered 25 years in prison. The case was investigated by the Flagler County Sheriff's Office. Assistant State Attorney Melissa Clark prosecuted the case for the state, and Circuit Judge Terrence Perkins presided over the case. Authorities did not reveal the relationship between Tyrone and the victim in his arrest report, which that may
So
mean that
was
maybe the relatives.
I-
Sir, what did you say?
we don't know if like he was related to they didn't elaborate on if it was he knew the child or
Well,
was related
according
child.
to statistics I've seen, children 5 and under are more often molested by relatives because they tend to spend more time with relatives at that time in their life. Yeah.
I'm saying in this trial they didn't specify.
No, he must be a relative. He must have been related to her. It didn't say her name, so I mean that's hard to know. But
Yeah.
and actually, one thing that's kind of confusing for me is that so I always thought like molestation was just like touching, but can that include, penetration, rape?
That's a good question, actually. That's a really good question.
Hmm.
I don't know if molestation charges are different than actual rape.
Yeah, because I always thought it was just fondling, that kind of thing. I don't
Well,
know if it includes rape. Yeah.
and I think it might be state to state sometimes, especially in states, because each, like, the state law kind of sometimes trumps the federal law, or is it vice versa?
Yeah, no, Rachel is right. So it is state by state basis for what is grounds for molestation. It can involve anything from disturbing, interfering with, or annoying, or subjecting a child to sexual contact, or an adult to unwanted sexual contact. Again, it's state by state basis, but it's sexual abuse essentially is another word for molestation.
Okay. So then is rape considered, that's also included in sexual molestation?
I'm not sure.
Because it just, I don't know. I don't know if they kind of understate it by using the
we're
word molestation.
Lawyers, so we'll just
Yeah, yeah.
but what bothers me about that is that I fucking don't remember.
I have definitions here.
Oh, good.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, so again, all 50 states have laws recognizing, when it comes to sexual abuse regarding children, that children are not in any way able to consent to sexual acts.
Correct.
And that is where they have age of consent coming in, which on average is between 16 and 18. According to this website, sexual abuse can include many different things, from touching a victim in a sexual manner to forcing a victim to touch the perpetrator in a sexual way, making the victim look at sexual body parts or watch sexual activity. Rape is defined as penetration, no matter how slight, of the vagina or anus with any body part, object, or oral penetration by a sex organ of another person without consent of the victim. Sexual assault. So rape and sexual assault have also been used interchangeably in coverage of events that led to the #MeToo movement. The practice, though unintentional, is confusing. In contrast to the specific criminal act of rape, the term sexual assault can describe a range of criminal acts that are sexual in nature, from unwanted touching, kissing, rubbing, groping, or forcing the victim to touch the perpetrator sexually. But sexual assault overlaps with rape because the term includes rape.
That's my problem. These laws need to be more defined. Because when you go into a court of law and you're talking about somebody sexually touching you or sexually penetrating you, those are very fucking different things.
But you don't get like a lesser sentence just because
into the law.
But like
written.
The offender doesn't get a lesser sentence if they didn't like penetrate the child or they just fondled them. Do they get a lesser charge or?
It goes by law.
Yeah.
So if the law is that general, then the person prosecuting, it depends on how they prosecute their perpetrator, right?
Yeah.
Depends on the evidence they have, but that's way too broad of a fucking spectrum. From fondling to penetration is very different.
Well, and that's why the laws have the different tiers of sex offenders too.
Right.
So in the United States, we have 3 tiers of sexual offender, and then based on the severity of the crime they committed will dictate which tier they are placed in. And it also goes into account whether they are a low risk of repeating offenders or high risk repeat offenders.
But is that communicated? So you know how you can go on, Michelle, if you can find the website, it's a website where you can find if all the sexual offenders in your area.
There's several. Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
So there's one that I use and I've looked at, and if you look at it, it's actually terrifying.
You wouldn't have enough time to read it all. They're fucking long.
I just look and glance, but on those websites, is the level of sexual offense noted? Because I don't believe it is.
No, they don't put that there. No.
And that's a problem for me.
It's their address. There's some basic things about where they live, but no, they just like But yeah, they're so long. Like I was reading one. It was a PDF, and it would have taken like days or hours. There was hundreds of them just for one neighborhood, and some of them like leave without notifying the cops, and that's a whole other thing. And
the fucking problem.
Yeah.
So the website I'm on has them. It has like a lot of their information, but it also, I'm trying to figure out exactly what it means. Some of their locations are pinged in green, then there's red, then there's blue, and I'm not entirely sure what that. I'm trying to find the details about that, like why it's set up that way.
Red must be the worst. I don't know. That's always the color associated.
Well, there's 4 different colors. So because I'm on, it's called familywatchdog.us. And oh Jesus, there's one area that's very
red.
They're just clustered. It's just oh my god.
Yeah, don't look.
I think most of them are.
I need to move. This town is.
No, I need to move too.
You guys don't
get out with a great story.
That's a common thing. That's a common thing across America. Everyone's talking about moving other parts of the country. A lot of people move from California to other places, and Florida. A lot of Floridians want to leave Florida, but a lot of people move to Florida.
I don't want to move to. I'm not moving to Florida.
No, please don't.
I don't want no. I don't. I'm going to have to look into this more.
Expect your dissertation at your next pod.
Oh, that's giving me stress.
Well, we'll expect your papo on your next pod.
Oh yeah, we got to start doing it. Yeah, for sure.
Professional amateur podcast opinion.
Right.
Dang right.
All
Best
right,
thing
Michelle.
ever.
How about you go into your first story?
All right, let's get away from the kid stories for a moment. Reginald Odell Kinser, a 77-year-old man in Florida, was arrested for intending to sell ill-gotten erectile drugs in a massive retirement community. The retirement community is known as the Villages. It's in Central Florida, and it's home to nearly 80,000 full-time residents. Vice nicknamed the sprawling suburban oasis Boomer Paradise. The retirement paradise is rife with rumors about swingers, high STD rates, and public sex. Federal authorities arrested Kinser for reportedly buying more than $1,800 of misbranded erectile dysfunction drugs that he had obtained illicitly. It is alleged that he bought the drugs without a prescription and intended to peddle them to his fellow retirees and elsewhere. Per legal documents seen by the Insider, Kinser was charged with the receipt of misbranded drugs in interstate commerce. The drugs were misbranded because of the lack of a valid prescription, and Kinser was arrested last month at the Villages. The Washington Post reports that the Villages are a well-known retirement community that were actually featured in a 2020 documentary, Some Kind of Heaven.
Did you
The
watch
defendant, no, I have not. The defendant pleaded not guilty to the misdemeanor charge. He could face up to a year in federal prison and a fine of $10,000 if convicted.
Not much.
Come on, it's a victimless crime.
It kind of is.
I know it's illegal, but that doesn't mean anyone's getting hurt here.
Ron's like, they can't afford it. Medicare pays shit. I know that for a fact.
Well, I don't know how much these pills cost, but he probably gave them a discount too, you know.
Well, he purchased $1,800 worth.
That's a lot. So that is a felony.
And he was
Yeah, but
intending
why?
to sell that because they're not valid prescriptions that are regulated by the government.
You should be able to buy that over the counter
You can.
next to the condom.
In some, you can buy erectile. It's not like the blue pills. It's not like Viagra, but in some gas stations you can get.
Right.
A gas station.
Well, it's like the natural herbal shit, you know, same as like the speed pills they used to sell at gas stations. You know, it's not.
It's not verified by the FDA.
I'll tell you something. Here's the thing about the seniors in these retirement communities. They are getting it on. Because
they have nothing else to do.
Yeah, there's no pregnancy scares, right? So they can bang away. They're having threesomes. I don't know about orgies. Maybe that's taken it a bit far, but they're swapping. They're just going. The STDs are a big problem in the retirement communities.
Fun fact: I worked for a national laboratory for 15 years. I sold drug testing, or I sold testing. I sold testing to doctors. And I will never forget one of the trainings we went to was about gonorrhea, chlamydia, and trichomonas. And the trainer specifically said, would you like to know where the highest rate of these sexually transmitted diseases are? Nursing homes.
Nursing homes, yep.
Nursing homes. The highest. Because they're not testing. They're just getting it on.
We have no idea what our grandparents were up to, you know?
I don't want
Yeah, we do, because that's why we have parents.
Yeah.
Tested, okay? Actually, you know, the only thing that could really happen is you could get infertility, and at that point, it's really not a problem. So, I mean, I don't know. Live your best life, I guess.
Well, that's like I said, you know, they don't have to worry about getting anyone pregnant, so
No.
they just they can go at it and just to have fun, just enjoy themselves.
I mean, you're gonna, you know, I don't want to be morbid.
Especially with Viagra, though. I mean, they can just take the pill and Actually, there's this other option now where a man can inject himself. There's some kind of substance that it actually works better than the pills. Like male prostitutes use it, male go-go dancers use it because it's hard to sustain erection. Everything okay back there?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Oh, okay. All right, so I'll go into my next story. So it's no more life-affirming than the last one.
Oh, great.
So I'm no fan of human traffickers. I'm astounded by the cruelty of it, the cold-bloodedness of it, how people can make money by exploiting other people, whether it's sex trafficking or forced labor. Well, there's this one guy, the headline goes, online recruiting investigation leads to rearrest of accused Miami sex trafficker. So a 41-year-old Miami man has been rearrested on human trafficking charges following an undercover investigation in California. Miami-Dade State Attorney Catherine Fernandez Rundle and City of Miami Police Chief Manuel Morales announced Friday in a news release. According to prosecutors, the Miami-Dade State Attorney Office Human Trafficking Task Force was notified by the Ventura County Sheriff's Office in California that a 2018 online undercover California investigation aimed at identifying potential human traffickers and predators led back to a Miami source identifying himself online with the username of Handsome and Wealthy 305. And if you saw this guy, he looks a little bit like Ariel Castro, to give you a kind of a hint of what he looks like. Authorities say the Miami-Dade task force members were able to identify the user as Ruben Gonzalez, who was already facing human trafficking charges in Miami-Dade County. The sheer boldness of human traffickers is so rarely visible to the public, but it is always felt by those children and adults who find themselves victimized by its demons of drug addiction, exploitation, and brutality. Traffickers tempt their targets with colorful promises of a life of money, sophisticated style, and excitement. Instead, victims find themselves becoming simple money-making machines for those exploiting them. I applaud the work of the Ventura County Sheriff's Office. I don't think. Yeah, so that's the gist of it anyway.
Human trafficking, especially in the South, I don't know if it's like that up north, is a very big problem. And to protect yourself from and your children from human trafficking, there are things you can do, right, to be aware. Like people who are hanging outside of like grocery stores, they're sitting there in their cars being fucking as hell, report them, okay? Because it's places like that where people go out and grab your children or grab women. There's certain things you can, I'm sure there's a website you can go look at and look for the symptoms of human traffickers. Because what terrifies me is how often it happens, especially around here. And if you're prepared, more prepared, then it's less likely to happen to you.
Yeah, I think it happens mostly in coastal areas, where a lot of immigrants come through and
Get out.
Not necessarily.
not exclusively, but yeah.
Yeah. Toledo, Ohio, which is close to the northern border with Michigan, is a very big area that's known for human trafficking.
Really?
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what kind of it does it? What form does it take specifically? Is it more labor focused or?
That I'm not sure. I just know that Toledo's not the nicest place to begin with, but Toledo is almost like it's like kind of like a prime spot because of where it's located on the map. It's right by the turnpikes that lead east and west. And then you also have north and south 75 and 71. So it's off of a bunch of major, interstate highways.
Where you can
So
get out
you,
quickly.
Oh yeah.
yes, absolutely.
So it's a hub.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes
It's an
sense.
easy opportunity hub. Absolutely.
Is it like one of these urban centers now where it looks like the third world, even though it's an American city? It's like
Yeah,
10
some of
cities.
it. Some of it just, I mean, a lot of Ohio, I can't speak for everywhere, but where I live boomed with the Industrial Revolution. And then once the big factories started shutting down, because we used to have GM plants and all sorts of other big names in the area. And once they closed out, it just, everything went to crap. And a lot of people lost jobs and the economy suffered and not necessarily fully recovered. So.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm up next. Or no, Michelle's up next.
My turn.
You're correct.
All right, Marion County, Florida. A Florida woman was arrested for leaving Walmart without paying for her items because she thought the security guard was trying to holler at her.
You know what? I don't know if I'm with her or against her yet.
All right, well, let me finish. We're just getting started. Among the items she walked out of the store with included 2 hair color kits, 2 drill batteries, shampoo, and a few other random items totaling over $160. Catherine Eves said there were no cashiers in the tire center area, so that's why she left the store, according to the affidavit. When deputies asked her why she didn't go to a different area of the store to pay, she wasn't able to give a valid answer. Catherine Eves was arrested and charged with petite retail theft for the incident that unfolded last Thursday at the Walmart in Ocala. Did I say that right?
Yep, you sure did.
Okay. The asset protection specialist at Walmart told deputies that the suspect, who identified as 34-year-old Eves, left the store without paying for her items and refused to go back inside to check out. Surveillance footage from Walmart showed Eves walking around the store for about 3 hours before walking into the tire center, passing several cash registers, and leaving the store. As Eves was walking toward the exit, the asset protection specialist tried to talk to her, telling her several times to go back inside. That's when Eves yelled back at him and walked away. In a post-Miranda interview, Eves told deputies that the security guard started talking to her, but she thought he was trying to holler, so she ran out of the store. Eves also said she was at Walmart in the first place because she had nothing to do and was killing time, adding that she had to return a few things and grab a few more. She was transported to Marion County Jail, but has since been released on recognizance, according to arrest records.
Wow. I saw a great video where a woman was caught shoplifting, and the security guard confronted her, and she like flipped out, fell on the floor, starts like rolling around, and at one point she's a black lady and she starts yelling, "Walmart is racist! Walmart is racist!" Well, playing the race card in the middle of it all.
Crazy. If something happens, I'm not even kidding around right now, in this parking lot, I'm 100% going to turn my camera and live view it.
Yeah, do it. Yeah, that'd be interesting.
May happen in this bar. I'm just warning you.
That'd be very interesting.
It'd be amazing. Please proceed. And Michelle, that woman.
Yeah, how do you feel now?
3 hours in Walmart. You're guilty AF.
Hair color is very expensive, isn't it?
Okay, no.
Not necessarily.
No.
If the cheapest you can get at the Walmarts around here is probably $6 or $7 a box.
Oh.
And then top tier, you're looking at $15, $16, $20-ish. It's not like salon quality where you're paying $50 to $75 for a color.
Nope. She's correct.
I think it's a lot more. It's a lot more here. Canadian prices are usually higher. So.
Currency. Damn it.
Well, no, it's not the currency. It's just there's not as much competition. Like in America, there's like so many different, Walmart type stores. You got Walmart, Target. Yeah, and even with like restaurant franchises, there's so many. It's like, are you going to really charge like $10 for a burger when the other guy's going to charge $5 or whatever? But we don't have as much competition up here, so people are able to drive up the prices. You do have
don't exist anymore in the United States. By
You
the way,
can't get it. Even not
Unless
even White Castle.
no, I don't have White Castles in here.
Oh yeah.
We had a White Castle where I lived for like less than 10 years, and now it's an urgent care.
Oh my God.
White Castle is like going extinct, isn't it? A lot of places.
Because you can buy the sliders frozen at Walmart.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
And also, if you're going to open up a fast food restaurant, I think in the case of White Castle, you have to build the goddamn castle. That's a lot more money than just opening up, in a storefront or whatever.
It's a fancy urgent care now.
Yeah.
That's
If I had
probably more.
If I had the money, I would open up one here, but I don't. So, I mean, franchises are already expensive. It's like $1 million to open up a McDonald's. So it's a huge investment.
McDonald's isn't going away anytime soon, though.
Oh, no, not at all. All right, my next story. This one's great. So, introductory paragraph says it all. Police have launched an investigation after receiving a report of a, drumroll, Florida funeral home worker allegedly caught sexually abusing a corpse on Tuesday.
What?
Yeah. Ware went to the Oaklawn Funeral Home by Pensacola, where the alleged incident took place, to try to get some answers. Employees wouldn't go on camera, but said they are cooperating with the Escambia County Sheriff's Office's investigation following an employee's report that they walked in on a coworker sexually abusing a corpse.
Wait, what county?
It is
Spell it.
Escambia. It's in Pensacola, yeah.
Okay. It's north.
Tim Brown is finalizing plans for his father's burial. He saw deputies at the funeral home Tuesday and was stunned to learn why. It does give me second thoughts, but I think he's already been cremated, Brown said. So I think he's safe. So his father's not the one who was raped. When deputies arrived at the scene around 8:30 a.m., the suspect was gone. His vehicle was found on Blue Angel Parkway, where police say he was found dead with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Employees wouldn't say if there were cameras inside or talk about the suspect's employment history. Ware called the Division of Funeral, Cemetery, and Consumer Services, which regulates licensing at funeral homes, and have yet to hear back. Oaklawn Funeral Home told Ware they're notifying clients, hoping to ease concerns. They also sent a statement. Out of respect for the privacy and confidentiality of the families, we are honored to serve, and the privacy of our associates, we are not in a position to comment on this matter. We will continue to fully cooperate with the sheriff's office on any investigation. I was saying, I don't know if I said this to Michelle before or not, probably not, but I've said this and I'll stand by it. If somebody wants to fuck my corpse, I will let them do so, provided they pay for the funeral expenses.
There you go.
They say a funeral costs at least 10 grand these days. So, I mean, what difference is it going to make? I'm going to be dead. I'm not going to feel it.
But my family would care.
This story's very reminiscent of a horrible book I read once, where a security guard, it's called Dead Inside.
Ooh.
There's a whole nother element to it I'm not even going to get into because it's even worse than the necrophilia, but it's essentially a security guard at a morgue who goes into gruesome detail about loving to romanticize the dead.
Yeah. Well, I did interview someone through email like that, and I ended up producing an episode. It was like 20 minutes or something. So it was they said basically a big part of it is like eroticizing the shape of skulls and bones, which I mean, I don't find them erotic, but I find skulls aesthetically pleasing. So
they're interesting, but I don't want to have sexual intercourse with them.
Well, no, I don't want to fuck anyone's skull,
or
a
dead body.
But every year Halloween, I always see stuff in stores. I think that'd be great home decor.
Of course.
you know, in a fun way. Skulls and, you know.
Has it been, I'm trying to look it up. Isn't there a medical condition people can get as a result of necrophilia? Like it can just, oh wait, no,
Something.
I think I'm thinking of cannibalism.
I was
Yeah,
so
There's the
Like
brain,
mad cow disease.
yeah, but it's got a different name.
Right. But it's
I was
similar.
I was so disappointed that I couldn't burn candles inside of this thing because not enough oxygen gets inside.
Drill some hope. We'll keep talking about it offline.
It's a Crystal Head vodka bottle, and
I have.
So classy. Yeah, the thing
Yeah.
I'm thinking of is Kuru, and that's a nervous system disease. Yeah. So it's called Kuru. It's Kuru, Kuru. For people who are interested in cannibalism, it's a rare and fatal nervous system disease that occurred mainly in the 50s and 60s among the Foray people in the highlands of New Guinea. They contracted the disease by performing cannibalism on corpses and funeral rituals.
maybe the corpses had decayed to the point where they were really eating rotten flesh.
It wasn't necessarily that. It was like, from what I understand, in certain cultures that do, you know, use cannibalism and all that, it kind of like your social tier, like, so men got first dibs to eat certain organs and then women and children would eat others, and it just so happened that the ones that mainly women and children were eating were the ones that were more prone to the infections that would lead to Kuru.
That makes sense.
And there was, so I think the brain was one of them.
That makes
I'm
sense.
not mistaken.
So that's
Because
one
the
situation.
liver is pretty healthy. The livers, you know, like kidneys are
Right.
pretty healthy to eat. That's what people eat when they kill, like, live. You know, they're eating a
Mhm.
heart. But if you're getting into like brain or even bowel,
Wouldn't kidney be a bad one too, just because it's your filtration
kidney
system?
would be. I mean, who knows? But I understand. But also, that's kind of really gross. Oh my god!
Well, so is necrophilia.
Supposedly we taste like pork. That's what cannibals say. We're like pork.
Well, I am pork right now because mosquitoes are eating me like pork right now.
Oh yeah. Oh, do they go away in Florida? Like
No, they're here. Literally, they're the size of.
So even in January there are mosquitoes there.
It's 89 degrees.
Oh wow. So, at least up here the insects go back to hell where they belong once it starts to get cold out. You know.
Hell here. It's all hell all of the time.
I mean, the climate of Ohio must be pretty much the same as Canada. So.
What's the temperature? It's chilly right now. I mean, it's been getting down into the 40s at night, which
fuck you!
I can't convert to Celsius. I'm sorry, I'm a horrible. I need to learn. But your geese never leave. They used to go away, but your damn birds just hang around.
They're getting more aggressive. I never heard of them being.
They're rude. They're rude. I had one day where I was going to work. It was like 7 a.m, and I would turn down a back road to get to my work, and there's like a whole flock of them standing in the middle of the road, and you are not allowed to hit them. They're one of those protected birds. A goose, a Canadian goose.
Oh my god!
There's a whole flock of them. I had a picture of it because I was so mad, and they were just
and you can't
taking their time. So I had to sit there for at least 5 minutes and wait for them. I was wondering how fast can I go clipping them with my Honda.
Did you honk?
And get away? They don't care.
They probably just think that's another goose. Yeah.
You know what?
They are so unfazed.
Snowbirds.
Maybe that's their most recent evolutionary step. They became a really hostile species.
Look at that.
Know?
They're very invasive and just rude and
can you see that?
No respect.
Yeah. Or maybe they're just like that in the States because I've walked past them and they never attacked me or anything.
Well, it's because you don't. I mean, if you try to fight them, that's one thing. But usually, as long as you don't get too close to the moms with the babies, they don't care.
Well,
they pretend like you don't exist.
Well, you got in Florida, you guys got panthers, you have venomous snakes, you got.
We have big cats in Ohio. They're just more cryptid. You don't see them as often.
Well, you got like
Mosquito-
mountain lions.
Actually, mosquitoes kill more. They are one of the leading causes of death in the world.
AIDS.
Mosquitoes.
Yeah, yeah.
Google me on that.
Well, malaria and any blood disease. In
They're
Africa, they were a big
round-
problem.
Great.
Well, they also carry malaria, and now we got to worry about COVID and everything else.
I'm not worried about COVID.
Um,
Rachel had COVID. It was just like what, like a
Had it
cold,
once.
right?
it
haven't
affects
had-
everyone differently
well, I
based on
haven't-
which strain you had.
I got it right after it came out.
Rachel, mosquito remains the deadliest animal in the world. Even today, they are responsible for over 1 million deaths each year, still spreading deadly diseases like malaria, yellow fever, and dengue.
It's mostly in Africa where they're that much of a threat, though. Like they have
I
mosquito
mean,
nets. Yeah.
West Nile
But
was
but
a
I was
trip.
correct. Mosquitoes kill more people. Like, they kill a lot of people.
Well,
They're
shark attacks,
walking syringe nightmares of
Shark
disease.
attacks do not kill.
they
more
hardly ever happen. Shark. The only way a shark you could get attacked by a
people. There are
shark
so
is
many mosquitoes in my car. I can't.
if you were in the ocean and you were bleeding, a shark will come along and start
Well, that's
attacking.
because a shark can smell, what is it, like 1 part per so many million, and
Oh yeah.
it's their heightened senses. But I mean, shark attacks are on the rise, but you got to think about like why. I mean, what's happening in the
They're
ocean?
being pushed out of their original where they're supposed to be because the water
Well,
is different.
yes, and
warming.
there's even sharks that are adapting to fresh water and are being found further in the river systems.
We have found, okay, to your point, I live on the Gulf of Mexico, right? Right down the street from me. It's salt water. We are attached to a river that is brackish. Brackish, for those who don't know, is a mixture of salt and fresh water. Okay. So gators can live in, mostly they live in brackish water. So, like the Everglades, mostly brackish water. We have now seen gators on our beaches in pure salt water, and that is fucking off.
Do they attack anyone?
No,
No.
no, because they're not even supposed to be there. Like, they don't even know what's going on.
Oh,
But
yeah.
seeing them on the beach is so off and wrong. We were at the beach last week. Fort Myers Beach was just still very sad, very, very sad. And we couldn't get in the water actually because the bacteria level was so high that we couldn't even get in the water. The beach was beautiful, it was gorgeous, but I have to check the water bacteria because it will give you a flesh-eating disease, which will take your appendages off. It will eat your flesh.
Holy shit. Oh.
So we didn't get in the water.
But do they put up signs warning people about it? Yeah.
Yep. They do. But I always check because I know better.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, I had a feeling we might come up a little short with
Florida
Florida
is
stories,
trying to kill you, bro.
so I've looked up a
They're
few.
always trying to kill you.
That is true. Okay, so here's one. Florida cop claims Burger King put dirt on his food. Here you go. Even cops aren't immune from the Florida shenanigans. In 2018, a police officer complained that Burger King employees had put a gritty substance on his burger, but as serious investigations took place, it was revealed to just be seasoning.
Seasoning?
Though the cops seemed pretty insistent on what he believed the substance was, everyone can agree that gritty stuff in food isn't exactly the tastiest.
Oh my
No.
god. I got one more.
Yay!
Oh, you did have one more. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, when
Skipping
you're
me.
you want me to go ask one of these rednecks if they have a true crime story? I can't be. If you need to edit it, you can edit it because I don't know what they're gonna say, but I guarantee you.
Let Michelle do her last one, and then we'll do that.
That's
a
it.
good. Yeah. Okay.
I'm saying. All right.
All right, so this one's from Titusville, Florida. Where's that at?
It's kind of like in the middle of where I am. So like north of me,
south of Orlando, I believe.
Okay.
Landlocked community.
All right.
not the coast.
All right. A Titusville woman was sentenced after pleading guilty to second-degree murder following a 2020 incident. Courtney Gibson, 31, was sentenced to 30 years in prison after pleading guilty to second-degree murder and tampering with evidence after the death of 36-year-old Amma Primavera. In February 2020, Titusville police were notified that Primavera was missing from a home in Trinidad Avenue where she rented a room. Her car, phone, and other belongings were still at the home. The homeowner told police that Gibson had also been staying at the home caring for his child when he was out of town. When he returned home, he told police his child was alone and both Gibson and Primavera were gone. Court officials said there was no evidence a crime scene said there was also evidence, that a crime scene had been cleaned and the mattress from Primavera's room was missing. Gibson was later located in Lebanon, Tennessee, and Primavera's body was inside her trunk.
What?
Police believe the two women had a confrontation at the home that led to the murder. So this woman gets into a confrontation with this other individual, murders her, and then crosses state lines with her body in the vehicle trying to flee.
Oh my God.
How did she kill her? Like what?
They didn't
what method?
specify.
Oh my, but she had her in the damn trunk of her car.
Mhm.
That's psychopathic.
Well, can you imagine if she was sitting in the passenger seat or the back seat buckled up?
No. Michelle, no. Michelle, no. No. It's not acceptable.
None of it's acceptable.
Or worse, maybe she didn't kill her right away, but left her in the trunk all that time, and then she died, which would be worse, I think.
I've heard stories about there was a true crime story one time about a nurse, I think it was in the 70s or 80s, that got locked in her own trunk of her car and basically suffocated to death in there after being brutally beaten by like an ex-boyfriend or something. It was awful.
That would accelerate the process for sure.
Yeah, it was warm out too. It was bad.
Oh man.
They didn't find her right away either because there was no they didn't realize until like the decomp smell started.
Yeah, that's a good signal. Yeah, to be trapped inside this tiny space and it's fucking hot as hell. That'd be terrible. Okay, okay. Oh yeah, here's a good one. Before Rachel recruits some people to do some stories for us. Inmate.
I'm working on it. Give me a moment.
Yes.
They're all very shy to tell their redneck stories and their true crime stories right now.
Inmate.
Y'all know some stories. Come on.
Right.
I need true crime, like something that.
I'm drunk, disabled. Somebody got hurt.
No, like. Give me some guys. What are we looking for here? We're looking for
Florida man stories, like weird crimes.
Even if something you saw.
The craziest, the most unhinged things you've seen or heard.
Craziest shit you've seen or heard.
That dude right over there, that pickup truck over there.
No, not that guy.
Yeah, him. He got all
He's the
stories.
craziest. No, I need a crazy story. Come on.
He is. You got to go talk to that guy.
Oh, that guy. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
What one?
The one that just walked inside.
He just walked
I
inside.
can't go inside. It's too loud.
Oh man, that sucks.
Y'all suck.
Anything involving an alligator?
Anything involving it out.
You
Okay,
let him get away. He's
I just told you what fucking
just tell any story. It's not that.
Anything involving meth would probably be a good story too.
Do you know anybody who's died of meth? Who's had an alligator experience? See, everyone in Florida is really, really like, they're like, nope, we're not talking about it. We ain't. The law is right behind us. We ain't talking about it.
I
It ain't.
jacked off the porn so bad last night. It was
No one cares about that. No one cares about that. No one cares about that.
That's not true crime, buddy.
That's not true crime.
You're allowed to do that at home.
Oh, that was
You're allowed to. If you do that public, it's different. If you do it public.
I failed you. I've failed you.
Oh, right. I guess they're all just really drunk, right?
They're very drunk. Yes.
Yeah. All right. So the next one is inmate insists syringes pulled from rectum aren't his.
Wait, I'm sorry. Say that again. Say that again. Please say
Inmate prison inmate insists that syringes pulled from his ass are not his. In one of the more bizarre Florida tales, even though the headline doesn't actually say Florida man, an inmate had 3 syringes pulled from his rectum. He insisted they were not his after repeated questioning. The inmate was just entering prison following an arrest for marijuana possession when the syringes were removed during body screening. Though he remained adamant that the needles were not his, he was slapped with additional charges for trying to bring them into the prison. So, if they weren't his, they didn't get there by accident. So
I have so many questions. I am so concerned for this guy's well-being.
yeah. I mean, were they used needles?
I would be so scared that the caps would come off.
What?
3 syringes.
Why?
What was in them? Do we know?
Yeah, if there was no drugs inside, then why put them up your ass, right? Because it's not illegal to have syringes on your person. There must have been drugs in them.
Yeah, but what kind of drugs?
I don't know. I mean, but then again, I don't think drug users just like inject them and then wait a while until they use it. I think they usually, put the drugs in right before they're going to use it. So.
But, okay. Here's the thing, right? I've watched enough prison documentaries that people smuggle drugs into prison. You're not smuggling meat.
Usually they'll smuggle.
There's a big difference between pooping a balloon and inserting 3 syringes.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can put like a balloon of heroin up your ass. But,
I mean, that's different. Am I right, Michelle? Like, am I crazy or like common sense?
We're talking about common sense in regards to illegally smuggling narcotics into prison.
Yeah.
Oh, Michelle, I kept getting flashbacks because you told me that part of your job is like encouraging young people not to vape. Like, I was really
other things, yes.
Is that really a big danger to anyone, vaping? Is it really that bad?
Now my children are in elementary and middle school, and yes, vaping is a fucking issue.
Is it worse than cigarettes?
No, it's weed, tobacco in elementary and middle school.
So vaping is as dangerous as tobacco, but for different reasons. So while, traditional cigarettes have tar and other, toxic chemicals, I mean, vaping and smoking traditional cigarettes do share carcinogens and certain things that are found in both, like chemically wise. But the problem they're also finding is the e-liquids leave behind secondhand and third-hand aerosol droplets. So it's not just smoke, it's like little droplets of the e-liquid, which can also contain a variety of harmful chemicals. They found formaldehyde, cadmium, arsenic. I mean, the lists are ridiculous. And another problem too that they're having is the concentration of nicotine in the vaping e-liquids has increased significantly since they were first released. So kids are getting smaller and smaller nicotine or vaping pods or the devices, but the nicotine content is astronomically higher than what you would get from a cigarette.
So why does somebody want to vape instead of smoking cigarettes? Like,
originally vaping came on the market and was advertised as like a smoking quit tool.
Oh yeah, and that doesn't. Yeah.
It was one of those like, hey, and at the time they did make it seem safer, but again, they withheld information, or maybe they weren't doing testing and stuff to find out what was going on. And then over time, because traditional cigarette use has been on the decline, the tobacco and nicotine makers have to make their money somehow. So now they're turning to, vaping, and then vaping kind of took off, and a lot of people like it more because they'd rather walk through a vape cloud that smells like cotton candy than through a cigarette cloud.
Well, they don't have to go outside to do it.
Yeah, so a lot of people and a lot of things too. Now there's vape devices that are like hidden in plain sight. You can buy pens, functional pens, like fountain pens, that are actually vapes. I've seen ones designed to look like key fobs
schools, bro. It's so bad.
Well, and the kids love it because of all the different flavors that are on the market, and they're packaged and advertised to kids younger and younger because they want lifelong consumers. And if they catch you early and you're a lifer, they're going to make so much money off of you.
And
But the
nothing
problem
changed.
too is if people, so the people who initially were buying like Juuls and stuff like that to quit smoking would eventually go back to doing both. They wouldn't usually stay away from cigarettes. So now you've got two habits,
Right.
both dangerous,
Right.
and you're just piling on extra harm into your body.
And
And
the
I mean, it's still,
vape-
even the nicotine-free vapes have still found trace amounts of nicotine in them.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's not good as an adult to smoke. We know that, but for kids who aren't fully developed, you know, it hits them a lot harder. And then the addiction process really gets to them because their brains aren't fully developed either. So it hits them a lot harder than it does grown adults.
Most
And
young
I mean,
smokers start when they're 15, right?
no, they're starting younger and younger.
Oh,
And that goes for
In
everything. Like
elementary
when it comes to
school.
when it comes to vaping and like smoking cigarettes and alcohol, they tend to start earlier. Even weed users are starting earlier, but it's not as common as the vaping and alcohol use. We've done surveys, and I mean, it's shocking how low of an age some of these kids are starting.
It is.
Like single digits.
Yeah,
shit.
it's that.
Yeah. You can't write your own name, but you know how to use a vape.
Correct.
Wow.
Correct.
Yeah, it's not
But
good.
About parenting, right? You have to talk to your kids about what's going on in life. Be aware of the things that
Well,
are now.
it
not
making them aware of the danger that they're doing to their body, even though they don't see it, they don't feel it, and then to be aware of the marketing tactics that are being used to get to them. Some of these pods are the brightest colors you've ever seen. You know, the kids look at it and it looks, ooh, it's cute. Or they have customizable tanks and it has your favorite superheroes, or the flavors. You know, who doesn't want to smoke something that tastes like cotton candy?
Well, and then it looks cool coming out of their mouth, so that's what they're thinking. They don't.
Well, another reason is a lot of kids will start smoking because they think it makes them look mature.
Well,
Because adults do it.
See, back in the day, it was 15 when you started grade 9. You wanted to be like the older kids, and you know.
Well, and some of it, I mean, there's still, just like there always has been, it's been a variety of reasons why kids start doing the things that they do. Some of it's unhealthy coping skills. Some of it is they're curious, which I mean, it's understandable, but they just don't have, maybe they don't have the education or the proper supports in place to help them make better decisions. And I mean, you know, speaking on the whole brain thing, kids that young, you know, if we're talking about the brain and levels, you know, there's the thinking and feeling brain, and then there's the core brain. You know, their feeling brain is activated before the thinking brain is. So, I mean, when it comes to complex thought and processing, that's not going to start till they're in their teens going into adulthood.
They're
So,
still in the experimental phase.
absolutely. They're very curious, you know.
What is this?
Yeah.
You're right.
And no one goes into that thinking that they're going to get hooked either. It's and addiction affects everybody differently.
Correct.
So for some kids, they may try it once and it's not a huge deal. It's whatever. Other kids, they immediately get hooked on it, and it just goes from there. So there's just too many, the way we explain it, or I explain it to the kids, is like, you know, science cannot pinpoint the moment you are going to be, you know, starting the addiction process.
Mm-hmm.
And because it is such a struggle, once you get addicted to something, to quit it, that's why we tell you guys just not to start. Just do yourselves a favor. Just do yourselves a favor. So,
Thank you.
Yeah. Make good choices. What?
You could start a whole podcast on just that.
Well, that's what she does for a living, and you can tell she's good at it. And we're not even high school students. You know?
I'm guilt tripping you guys. Don't
We're
be.
barely functioning human beings. Come on.
Well, you know that there's so many addictions people have that they could use help with, like sugar. I think that's one thing that's causing a lot of health problems for people. Alcohol, and because I know down there you can buy beer at a convenience store. We don't have that going on here.
Oh, we have it all. There's a store up
Here.
the street from me that literally has beer on pallets right when you walk in the door.
Yeah.
There's beer
Like,
everywhere here.
yes. Yeah, Walmart,
Yeah, you can-
or not Walmart, Walgreens used to have their own beer. Do you remember that? It was called Big Flats.
Walgreens
That-
has everything.
See, that's the
Not
weird thing
anymore.
about.
They've kind of downsized, but back in the day,
Alcohol is
See,
in
that's the
every
weird thing.
store.
That's the weird thing about the big corporate like pharmacies. They've got all the medicines in back hidden from everything else, but the rest of the store could kill you. The junk food,
Exactly. Yep.
the alcohol, everything else, and then there's the medicine in
can't
back to
have-
help save you. Yeah.
You can't have the drugs that are gonna cure your diabetes, but here are some alcohol and cigarettes.
Yeah, I go there to
Well-
get my insulin and medication, but meanwhile there's chocolate bars on the other side of the store, candy, all kinds of shit.
yeah, but you got to think about how much it costs to manufacture that stuff too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's why they keep that
Manufacture
stuff
what?
locked up. Like insulin and other, medications that they keep.
If
Well,
they charged, if they charged what it costs to make, it would probably be a lot less. Yeah,
It would, but it's all about controlling the demand and the supply.
yeah, it's
No,
just
it's
like everything
not.
else.
People don't give a shit about M&Ms,
No,
but they
it's
care
not.
about the insulin.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Well,
The
or like
United States of America, the drug companies are running us. The insurance companies are running us. They're dictating patient care. They're not doctors, and they need to change the system.
and they need you to be
That's
unhealthy.
my opinion.
Well, yeah, because then
You
you're a
do
lifelong
sick.
customer.
Yeah,
I've been in the medical field for 25 plus years.
yeah.
I
So
love
it's a
the
lot.
medical field, but it's fucked.
Oh, everything's a mess here. The United States is a mess.
You're correct.
But I am also a huge advocate the more I go into this stuff about like mental health resources and that aspect of everything. That's just as important as, making sure you have access to the medications and
How
things
do we
that you
fix it?
need.
How do
Huh?
we fix that? How do we fix that?
We need more funding. We need more support at the federal level.
Yep.
It's not a 1, 2, 3 step process. There's got to be a lot of little changes that are made.
What specifically can we, as the American public, as me, as a human being that is fed up with this bullshit, what can I do? What can we do to
Not-
change?
Talk
Yep.
to your state legislators.
You're not a billionaire. There's not shit you can do.
So
really.
you talk to the billionaires. You talk to the people in charge who make your laws.
Do we want to say to them?
Yeah.
Speak from the heart. Explain the importance of having mental health advocacy and further incorporating that.
They're not
Well,
going to listen.
Well, the thing is this, like going back to my child molester story. Well,
Yeah.
I think the 3 of them didn't. But anyway, see, no, a lot of people are against the idea of therapy programs. I don't mean therapy in terms of they're there. It's okay to be a pet. It's not about that. It's about helping them devising a strategy to refrain from offending in the first place. But people don't want that. They just want to punish them. But the thing is, yes, you can throw him in jail for the rest of his life, but the victim still suffers. So why not invest in prevention,
Mhm.
Or maybe invest in the fucking victims, which we also don't.
Yeah.
People who are scarred by sexual abuse. And so many times they're not taken seriously.
Yeah, that's a problem too. Yeah, and well, most children either don't report it or they report it like so many years after it happened that the statute of limitations makes it almost impossible to charge the person.
Usually,
Where people are reporting and they're not being sexually assaulted, and that also pisses me off because it takes away from the people who, like children and
Oh yeah,
really being sexually assaulted, because you're making it like it's not all the same, right? Sexual assault is not all the same. There's different variances of sexual assault, which is what we were talking about earlier, right?
yeah,
With the story you told.
Mhm.
It's not just one or done. It has to be categorized. It has to be the levels of penetration or touching or this or that, and then also you have to empower the person to talk about it because we're not.
well, We have to destigmatize it.
We have to destigmatize it
Yeah.
and not encourage people to falsely report, because that happens a lot too.
It's not a pedophile thing, but did you hear about that celebrity they faked a hate crime?
Yes.
Yes.
You see that kind of thing can really be detrimental, to in terms of when it comes to like real crimes of that nature.
Right.
Then that just makes it harder for everyone else.
Well, and I guess the good thing about social media and us having this access to all this information now is to call out people like that, because you really can't get away with it anymore. I mean, you could, but it'd be hard because you're talking to people and we can find out if you're full of bullshit. So that's the positive of having what we have, like in social media terms.
So I the one time I went to Florida, I remember how the traffic is. My uncle said you don't
Right.
wait, you don't go out there and wait for people to slow down or stop. You wait until traffic thins out, and then you can drive out onto the street and not be hit by another car. This was in St. Petersburg, and so my last Florida man story goes: drunken Florida man on Segway charged with DUI. That's beautiful.
On a Segway.
He was drunk. He was drunk on a Segway.
Was he?
Driving under influence, DUI is a very common criminal charge, and many stories exist about people being arrested for it, but you probably never heard of someone getting arrested for DUI while on a Segway. In this hilarious case, a Florida man was arrested for DUI while riding the two-wheeled scooter right in front of a police station after he
That's a
drank 2 bottles of wine.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
That's
beautiful.
probably in my
2 bottles
What
of
a-
wine, that'll do it.
What a way to keep segues relevant in this day and age. He's Tour de Francean on a
So, Mich-
Segway.
So Michelle, you're like what, 5'1", was it? Or,
Yes.
You
And-
see something?
you don't need to drink a lot to get drunk, right?
No.
Like a beer.
Well, I don't drink beer, so I don't know. I don't like beer. But no, well, and because I'm older, I don't drink like I did in my 20s, which I never got really big into partying. I had days where, I have a drunk story, but I just don't. I don't. Hangovers last like 2 days. If I eat too much ice cream, I feel like I'm hungover.
Yeah, really?
I can't do it. So
Great.
yeah, it really does. I'm very much a lightweight. So
But you got a delicate constitution, then, yeah. So if you had gotten COVID, maybe that would have done a real number.
I did get COVID, and it was rough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was a trip. I thought I had it manifested as like a severe sinus infection, which I used to get those regularly for a few years. And my doctor was like, "No, it's probably COVID." And then like a week after initial symptoms started, I lost my sense of smell, I still had the sinus infection, but then it was like it just started morphing. So it was like, every few days the symptoms would change. I had vertigo for a little bit. The sinus infection.
Did you lose your sense of smell for a long time?
For about a week.
Oh God, mine lasted for months.
Wow.
Yeah, it was rough. And what was weird is even though I had no sense of smell, my sense of taste was like extremely muted. Like it was still there, but like things like avocado, I couldn't eat. The texture alone without the flavor and just the coldness, I was like, it was bad. It was bad.
The kids would give me shit to eat. They would make weird concoctions because I literally couldn't taste anything.
I actually did.
Anything.
Did you?
Anything.
When you had COVID because your sense of smell was gone, did you have like to where you didn't have an appetite?
I didn't. I ate because I had to eat, right?
Yeah. That's how I got. It got to a point where it's like, I know I haven't eaten in like 16 hours, but I'm not hungry. I don't feel it.
You don't
because I can't smell anything and I can't taste anything, but I know I need to eat because I'm going to pass out. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and now that Rory's in kindergarten and eventually first grade, she's gonna be getting everything.
well,
this is
actually, Actually, so her pediatrician was right about this. Rory, my daughter, she's 5. She's in kindergarten now, but she's been going to daycare and preschool programs since she was 2 months old. So the first year that she was in daycare was the worst. That child did not have more than a week at a time where she was actually healthy and wasn't sick with something. But the pediatrician told us, they're like, she's going to get sick a lot, but she's building up her immune system and her tolerances.
It's true.
So just go with it. And then by the time she's in grade school, she's not going to be affected as bad. And she has not had a sick day. I mean, she's had cold symptoms, but like a runny nose. But that could also be allergies. But she's been fine. I didn't even get sick this year. And I got sick last year when I started doing what I do for work because I was in and out of the schools all the time. I had a raging sinus infection all of September last year.
Yeah.
And this year, I'm running in 50-degree rainy weather, and you would think I would start catching pneumonia or something, but I'm actually doing okay. So
Exposure.
Yeah.
I don't think temperature causes sickness, does it?
It does.
I mean,
It's
besides
just
hypothermia, I mean.
It is a literal. The only way you get sick is by bacteria.
Yeah.
You get sick by cold weather. That's a.
I was concerned running this morning just because I do have really bad seasonal allergies, and it was misty raining. So I was inhaling a lot of that mist, and then I was like hacking my guts out for hours afterwards.
Look at this. Hi. Wow.
He came out of nowhere, didn't he?
Hi, dog. Come here. You're a female. Hi. Come here. Hi, Bub. Hi, princess.
Only in Florida, Morgan.
Princess.
Yeah.
Come
Is he
here.
with the customer or is that like a stray?
He's a pit.
Well, we know he's a pit, but whose is it?
No, where's your mommy and daddy?
Does she have a tag?
No, she's good. She's got boobies. She was just in a truck, I think.
All those disturbing dog mom nipples.
Yeah.
They're called teeth,
Won't
Morgan.
show you.
Oh yeah.
Sorry. Come here, princess. Come here.
Because they don't go away, They.
Come here, honey. Come here, Come here, little pumpkin. Oh, she's a good girl. Everybody likes you because you have the hot dogs.
Oh, they're in the upcoming part 3 of the Satanic Panic series. There's a lot of gynecological information. I hope it checks out. I did do research, but because these people were accusing all these people of sexually abusing children, and they would examine children, like these doctors would examine them and think, oh, her hymen's not exactly 4 millimeters, and so they thought that was an indicator. But if you're like a 2-year-old child is raped, you don't need to examine them that closely because they could die from it, right? But and a bunch of male doctors at a conference and couldn't agree on what the exact measurements of a hymen should be, like what a normal hymen should be and how it should look. But they're not all alike, right? They're not uniform.
Were they male doctors performing those?
They were, yeah.
Yeah, fuck off.
Yeah.
You don't know how high it's supposed to be, and you don't know when it's supposed to be detached, and you have nothing to know about it except for your medical exams. Maybe a little woman deal with that.
And a woman can retain it like after she loses her virginity, right?
No.
Or
No. It doesn't regenerate. It doesn't come back.
not regenerate, but like,
no.
It can't still be there? Oh, okay.
No.
Nope.
Whoops. Well, someone will make sure to mention that in the comments section. So
We got you, Morg.
yeah, maybe I read some misinformation then.
It's all good, buddy. That's why we're here. Michelle and I got you.
Unless we're misinformed and we just don't know it.
Correct. I'm not going to say that I know 100%.
According to the professional amateur
100%.
podcast opinion, we were always educated that once it's gone, it cannot come back.
My girl. Capo.
So if we are misinformed, yes, we are open to education, but let's be respectful about it.
You're damn right about it. You're damn right.
I am all about learning new things because I don't like being wrong either.
Solving.
Yeah, yeah. But on the other hand, you do come to that subject with experience. So.
As far as I'm aware, it did not magically come back together like the
Nope.
fucking
no,
Stranger Things.
Oh,
Nope,
no,
I sure didn't.
I never said anything like that. No, but it said that for some women, not all women, but it said for some women it's like so sturdy that they could still have it after having.
That is true. That is true. But it can't, once it's done, it's severed, it cannot be regrown.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? These are some fancy bikes. Here, I'll show you guys. I don't even know how. Here we go.
Oh, you know what? Doctors say never ride motorcycles. That's
I'm terrified.
That's one piece of advice they'll all give the public. They say don't ride motorcycles.
Why is that?
Well, it's one of the number one causes of injury, and motorcycle injuries are fucking horrific too. So.
Well, my father had 4 knee replacements from being an asshole on a motorcycle.
Well, I saw a picture of this one guy. He was dumb enough to wear flip-flops on a motorcycle. You're supposed to wear some kind of boots. It pulled all the skin right off the sole of his foot, and you could see the bones. It was fucked up.
I've been on a motorcycle in a bathing suit with no shoes.
No shoes. Wow.
No shoes and a bikini. And
How old were you?
I burned the out of my leg.
See, that's a Florida thing. You are a Florida gal to do stuff like that.
That's my Florida story.
Yeah, yeah.
I got drunk today and I got on the back of my friend's bike and I did it with absolutely no shoes and in a bikini and I burnt the shit out of my leg.
But they wore shoes, right? They wore boots.
No, he did. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Well, on that note, I think we can put an end to the True Crime News Florida edition. Thanks for joining us once again, Rachel and Michelle.
I'm so sorry that I was not aptly prepared.
No, that's fine. I think it went well.
There's dogs barking in the background. There's feral cats running around.
It's Florida.